Have you ever wondered about films that never made it to the big screen, or even television and streaming services? Well then, the Screenplay Archaeology podcast may be for you. On our show, we take a look at scripts or teleplays that were never produced, or sometimes even early drafts that were significantly changed before or during shooting, as well as the stories behind why they never came to be. Good script or bad, we consider them all to be fair game. So if any of this interests you, then come check out Screenplay Archaeology.
That was just another pointless sequel that didn't have to be made.
In 1988, the production team of Zucker, Abrahams, and Zucker began shooting their big screen adaptation of their Police Squad television series, choosing Ricardo Montalban to play the villain after seeing him in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and starring the television show's lead, Leslie Nielsen. The film would be released under the title of The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad. Shot in and around Los Angeles with a finale in Dodger Stadium, the film was largely critically praised and won the box office opening weekend. The Naked Gun would go on to become a 3-movie franchise, securing its place in the legend of cinema. But what do we, the hosts of License to Watch, think about this film? You'll find out if you're ready for License to Watch.
Wow, excellent intro.
Oh, man. Are we going to have to start scripting these things now? Colin's raising the bar. That's bullshit, Colin.
I did not think that was good.
Gorbachev approves.
The part when he rubs off the birthmark is pretty clutch.
And I know it's...
I knew it.
I knew it. I know it's true that they cast Montalban in this after seeing him in Star Trek II. I know that that's a real thing, but also it's funny when you say it because I know you would want to mention Star Trek II regardless of whether they.
There's no way that was getting cut.
It's like Colin's suggestion for every movie. We should cast Ricardo Montalban. Colin, he's been dead for years. Yeah, but have you seen Wrath of Khan?
Yes, we have. We've seen it.
We should introduce our guest. Joining us to kick off this wonderful movie series is third-time guest.
3-time. Is this like SNL rules? Do I get a robe on the
you
fifth
get a jacket
appearance?
on the fifth,
Okay,
or a
okay.
robe, whatever, right? Yasser Arafat has just died before our eyes. Jonathan Maurer is here.
Hello, y'all. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Jonathan, what's your history with
This movie goes way back. My dad loved these movies and was a big comedy fan and just fan of like silliness in general. So probably I can remember going to see at least, I think, the sequel in the theaters. And these were movies we watched on VHS all the time. And I grew up with Leslie Nielsen and watching all of his terrible other, sequence of gag movies and parodies that got increasingly worse the older we got. But in my teen years, it was like I would watch them all in the theaters. So big lover of Leslie Nielsen, big lover of these movies in particular. And this one is the GOAT. This is like the classic. So I'm a humongous fan of this film.
Yeah, and you know what?
One of the first DVDs I bought. Really went through college watching this movie regularly.
I think we'll talk about what you're describing, how like there was a significant drop off in quality of these kinds of like spoof movies, I think we'll call them.
Spy Hard.
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
I have that on VHS.
Mafia. Did you just say that?
Mafia with Jay Moore.
But
that one doesn't have Leslie Nielsen.
What was the fugitive one?
Wrongfully
Accused. Yeah,
which
which sounds like
recently.
the real title of a real movie.
The hot shots were kind of tight.
The hot
shots are tight.
There was definitely some gems in the pile of crap, but they did pile up some crap.
Yeah.
But
the
Hot
early
Shots and
90s,
Mafia,
they had it, but it was really like when Scary Movie started making sequels. Like the first Scary Movie is maybe all right. I'm not the hugest fan of the Scary Movie series, but after that they started doing like epic movie and like superhero movie.
They
or
were
whatever.
smart in that they sort of got the Wayans brothers really involved in the Scary Movie stuff, so it kept it kind of fresh-ish. But it was still like those were a higher caliber than most of the other stuff, but they were doing like superhero movie, teen movie, it was exhausting, and not all of them were very good.
And none of those could live up to Don't Be a Menace, I don't think.
No.
Don't Be a Menace was...
I caught some of Scary Movie 2 was on HBO recently, and it was late at night, and I was like, I'll watch this. And I watched it for like 10 minutes, and there were some funny jokes, but there were also like there was a higher count of like non-jokes. Like they're just saying things.
Yeah.
Like
References.
There's a part where there's like a parrot that, you know, says like things that a parrot normally wouldn't say. And then at some point it just says like, fuck you or whatever. And I'm like, that's not a joke. Like, you know, it's just like it's like, I don't know. It's not the same. It's not the same quality as this movie, for instance.
Well, what is a joke is this amazing car light intro.
I love
credit
it.
sequence.
They took like
love it.
5 seconds of the original Police Squad intro, which was the car light, which I think was pulled from the M Squad, what was the name, Lee Marvin TV show. And they took it and they just ran with it, where it's on a roller coaster. Of course, it goes into a ladies' locker room, because I feel like these kind of movies
As
have
a
to
child, by
all
the
have to
way,
have one scene in a ladies' locker room.
As a child, with the gratuitous nudity of
Oh,
the
yeah.
tushy there, that was an iconic moment for a young boy.
pushing towards puberty
Yeah.
with Jonathan.
When you were talking about this earlier, like I watched these movies since before I could get a bunch of the jokes.
Yeah.
Didn't understand the condom joke like the first
Same.
several times I
Yep.
watched this
Yep.
movie. And there's like a bunch of other jokes that I just did not understand until like I had seen the movie maybe like 100 times or something, like, you know, like or maybe not 100, but you know.
Yeah, it's a weird like phenomenon. The Simpsons is kind of like that too. You watch it so early that you didn't get a lot of the jokes, but they're still funny to you for some reason.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Speaking of The Simpsons, this shares with me, I think, you know, I've heard it said about boys in particular, maybe women are the same way, but by the time you're like 14, 15, 16, your sense of humor is kind of like set from some of the things you grew up watching and loving. And The Simpsons was iconic for me for sure in that realm. And so was this brand of humor, this very like silly, anything for a laugh kind of a joke, slapstick, people getting hurt, just like not lowbrow, you know, just that kind of really just nothing is too silly for a laugh. And I love that about these movies. They will throw 100 things against the wall, and if 2 of them stick, it's like worth it.
It's definitely like one of those things that it's not that like older people or women can't appreciate these movies, but the target audience is like teenage boys. You know, like who they're really trying to impress is like stupid teenage boys, and they do a great job. And I think that's like, if you could tap into that part of yourself, because this is it's amazing if you just appreciate the stupid humor. So like my big thing was when we were kids, we had a VCR. We got a VCR and we had like 2 movies that we owned, and then we would tape stuff off of like HBO or whatever. And we taped the 2 airplane movies off of HBO, and I would watch the 2 first, the Airplane 1 and Airplane 2 over and over again, and knew like every gag from them. So when I realized that the same people who made those movies made something else, I was like, oh, I think by that time, it was like when the second Naked Gun came out, I was like, oh, that's the same guys? I got to see those movies. And, you know, obviously does not disappoint. You can see that they mastered their craft of just like that whole gag a minute, just make everything so ridiculous and they don't take anything seriously, and shaped it around something that had like, I don't know, not that the airplane movies didn't, because they were shaped around those whole airport movies, which obviously starred George Kennedy, who plays this guy right here.
Which is our next franchise we'll be covering.
But yeah, this is like more relatable, the cop movie, and I think that the plots are tighter in this one and the sequel. The first sequel.
There's a really good subtle joke here that I have never noticed before. So you see it's Frank Drebin is just arriving, and he's getting off the plane, and you can see in the background that they're just chucking the like luggage off the plane.
Just chucking it onto the ground.
It's like a very subtle thing. It's like they're not even like aggressively like, look how much luggage is falling down. There's not a lot, but
That's
then
only like 20% of the screen too. Like
in a couple of seconds, they're gonna walk to the car, and I'm pretty sure. I remember him, Weird Al Yankovic. You'll see. He picks up his luggage. It's just like laying next to the car. Here, watch. See, so here's the...
I love that you called that out as a subtle joke, because one of your prompts for us for tonight was to think of...
Because look, they don't highlight it at all. It's just like, there's his bag. You know? I never noticed that before. I mean, I haven't watched this movie probably in like at least 10 years.
I also like this callback gag of there's a running joke that he crashes his car and everything when he stops.
I also made note of that. One of the best.
But I love this
recurring
one
jokes.
where he backs into the airport baggage trolley, and then they have this whole car ride, and then like 5 minutes later they pull up outside the police station, and the baggage trolley is hooked onto their car.
Yeah, because the car ride is long. Also, this is off like 405, and I've seen it before many times, and every time I think of this.
Everything reminds me of her.
Everything reminds
I've quoted that about a dozen times driving by that structure.
Yep.
If you take 405 south from here, and like before you even get to, I think,
It's on the way to like Carlsbad.
yeah,
I think I yelled. I can't. I don't think I was. I think I was alone in the car, and I yelled and pointed the first time I saw it. I was like, the naked gun boobs.
I love that everything is labeled the hospital, the police station.
Oh my god.
So we're watching along with the movie here, so we're constantly going to just be chiming in with whatever is happening on screen. We'll do our best to describe what we're seeing here.
I think one of your prompts, Matt, was that we should come up with a funny thing that like is unusually funny to us and not other people.
Yeah.
And my big one, I think, has already passed, but I love the moment where like, so Nordberg, played by the great controversial O.J. Simpson,
Alleged murderer.
Noted actor.
yes, noted film star O.J. Simpson.
it's
I hear
sad
he
how
played,
good he is at this.
Here he played football as well.
Yeah.
I don't know anything else about him. Seems like a nice guy.
I think
he was.
Do you think OJ being in these movies like kind of tarnished them? That like people are like, yeah, it's weird, right?
It's weird that it hasn't.
There's something that we just watched recently where, what was it? Where we were like, oh, you can't really like watch
Honestly,
this movie
I
anymore.
love Woody Allen movies, and even I have trouble sometimes watching the Woody Allen movies, and I'm like, I don't know. It's still a good movie, but I don't feel great about it. And for some reason, it does not affect me with Nordberg and Naked
It just
Gun.
gets a pass.
Honestly,
I'm like,
it
so he
enhances,
cut his
the
ex-wife's
humor.
So he cut his ex-wife's head off. Like, we've all made mistakes.
But it's the role. He's there to literally like get the shit beat out of him because like it's like he's the entire slapstick. He's
maybe that's his
he's
punishment.
kind of barely in this first one. Too.
And it's the
Yeah.
contrast between the reality of what we know about him and how unthreatening and inept he is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
how
yeah.
he is a constant victim of pain.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful contrast that enriches the humor. I'm sorry. Sorry to the victims.
It's better.
Sorry to the victims.
It's
the
better
movie
now.
works.
Yeah. But one of my favorite gags that I think is probably funnier than anybody else thinks is when he gets shot apparently 6 times by these guys.
So that's
holding
my
guns.
favorite joke. That made my list of.
He puts his hand on a hot stove, and as he's falling to the ground, and then recoils in pain and yells, and then he leans against wet paint. And then he looks at the paint coming off in his jacket and says, "Oh no!" And it's like that moment. Like I think that whole sequence is funny, but the specific moment of him saying, "Oh no," it's just like that. More than the wedding cake, more than anything at the bear trap, more than anything else that happens, is him getting paint in his jacket after he's been shot 6 times and burned his hand. And he's like, "Oh no!"
So you just took my answer for best joke of the film. That's
It
actually
really is.
specifically my favorite joke.
It's very good. It's a very good joke.
And it's the whole joke. It's the escalation to the bear trap and everything. But the oh no, is such
the
a
wet paint
perfect choice.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
His disappointment.
Because it's
in
like
that moment.
the other things are far worse. Like stepping on a bear trap is much worse than getting
Right.
paint on your jacket.
Oh no! And he's like so resigned. He's
Matt's-
like, "Oh, this isn't gonna come out."
Appreciate Matt hierarchizing the
I don't
trauma
know.
there.
Should we say
Bear trap.
6
steam
times
pipe.
shot is the worst.
Oh, I forgot about 6 times.
Drowning is the second worst.
they mix it up too? Because falling in a wedding cake isn't as bad as bear trap or shot, but that's in between.
It escalates in the absurdity of it happening there. You know, like it's like,
Yeah.
why is a wedding cake there? Why is a bear trap there?
Yeah.
But like the actual like pain threshold does not. It's sort of, and they do that a couple of times here where there's moments where the natural progression of things, they throw something random into the middle of it.
Yeah.
I'll say another one of my favorite running jokes here is we just passed a great example, but is the way they interplay the physical humor with verbal humor and ending scenes on really great verbal beats. So like right there is not one man will rest until we know what happened to Nordberg. Now let's get some lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the mayor who I was like, where do I know her from? And it took me like 5 seconds to figure out she's the mom from The Sopranos. I
Yep.
was
It's like the only other thing I know.
thrilled with myself, especially because she doesn't look, nearly. I mean, obviously she was younger in this. And
I'm just noticing the pictures of water. These are really interesting pictures. I don't think those would be tough to find today. pitchers like that.
Well, it's all plays into the gag of him peeing for like 8 minutes after.
Also,
so he's
like,
got all these
there's
empty
like
pitchers
6
of water
pitchers of water on the table in front of him. Like,
So here's my least favorite joke of the whole movie:
the peeing.
The switching his mic. I don't understand what. Like, I know it's
What's
not a
the
joke,
significance of it?
but they never pay it off. It's not a joke.
I think the payoff is the long pee.
Yeah, it's the pee. It's so you
But
know
why-
that he's mic'd up. Like,
but why is
emphasizes it?
oh.
It's like he is on a hot mic.
That is what it is.
I guess that
totally.
it's just to hang a flag on him. I mean, we see the mic in his lapel and we can hear it, but yeah, no, I guess that's probably a good point. They probably we need people to remember that he's mic'd up.
Yeah,
Have you-
because it makes the
have
pee
you,
joke so
read a-
much
have
more
you read a
clever.
screenplay before?
No, but I've had a lot of fights in creative meetings about whether we have to do stuff like this.
You
And-
do.
You mean they're that dumb?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my underlying.
But we'll hear that he's mic'd up.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get it. Trust your audience. Not
Everyone
be
knows what
idiots.
that little thing on his lapel is.
I don't think I've ever, like, while urinating, like, leaned all the way back into a back bend and put both hands on the back of my head.
But have
You haven't lived.
So you've never peed drunk before?
have you sang loudly in a public bathroom?
Yeah, I for sure have done that.
I once, when I was in 4th grade, I think I've told this story. I took a bathroom break during a class in which we were watching the movie Free Willy. It must have been a Friday or something. I don't know why we were watching that movie. It was new at the time. And I was at the urinal and I was singing the Michael Jackson theme from that movie. And then a friend of mine walked out of the stall and he looked at me and just shook his head. I was like, no.
I'm amazed that did not end in a Free Willy.
I know. You should have just been like, sorry, I just had a free willy over here.
Yeah.
Another great car.
I'm kind of surprised
Accident
your friend
scene
was
here.
disappointed. Free Willy did really well. That was
What an asshole.
yeah, like fuck you.
You know what? I just realized. Never seen that movie.
You've never seen Free Willy?
No, never
Good
seen that
God.
Well, it's funny. That's a good jumping off point for me because I was
Or a jumping over point?
jumping over. Yeah.
Very good. Very good, Colin.
When you were talking about Airplane before, I have seen Airplane, but
Here's a great bit.
I'm not a huge. Yeah, I love that.
The chalk
chalk
outline
outline
in the
underwater.
water.
I'm not as familiar with Airplane as I am with this and the Hot Shots movies. They were sort of my go-to spoofs as a kid. And then my parents were like, "Oh, you've got to see Airplane. That's the best one." And they showed it to me. And like, yeah, I thought it was funny, but like it just didn't grab me the way these movies do. I don't know why. Maybe I need to. I haven't seen them. I didn't even know there was a second Airplane.
What?
It's the second Airplane is like 75% of the same jokes from the first Airplane, except it's a space shuttle that goes to the moon.
I have seen Airplane 500 times and I've never seen Airplane 2.
Oh, really?
Oh my God! Well, you're missing out on the same jokes by the same actors
in a
in a
different
different
in a
location.
different location.
Do we like this bit here
Airplane
with,
2
with the
has-
reverse interrogation?
Oh,
Yes.
I think this is
Love it.
Yeah, it's like an
When
old
he gives
Abbott,
the money
Abbott
back,
and Costello
it's-
thing where he
yeah.
actually makes money off of this snitch that he's bribing.
It doesn't go on too long. I think if
Yeah,
it went
yeah.
on for a little bit longer, I'd be like, okay, this joke sucks. Yeah. But
And as usual, they play it 100% straight, which is what works about so many of these gags.
Oh, yeah, and there's like a loan in the middle of it. Like, can you spot
Can
me?
you spot me
yeah, and
20?
he just gives it right back.
Oh, man. All this great, like, Los Angeles
What is that? The
location
SAG building?
shooting.
What is that building?
That's on Wilshire, I think.
Yeah,
It's like a...
I drive by it a lot. I can't remember what it is though. It's
Ludwig
definitely
Towers.
not Ludwig Towers. Yeah. I love that. How many times do you think they had to do this where they got 2 of the fighting fish to each eat a goldfish, and she comes in between the first one eating the goldfish and the second one eating the goldfish? It's like the whole, and they pan up and everything.
7 times.
I mean, like...
It's usually 7 or 8, right?
It's probably easier than you think. Like, there's probably only a few things they can get those fish to do, and eating is one of them.
They probably just didn't feed them for like a month.
Noted Huntington
Cuban
Huntington
note, Dutch
Library
Irish.
painting hanging here in
Yeah.
the Blue
Yeah,
Boy.
some of these lines are so quick and they're just so great.
Yeah.
And the reactions, like from what's his name, Montalban.
And the Leslie Nielsen's expression as he destroys the priceless pen, which is its only vulnerability is water, and he destroys it and then accidentally kills the priceless fighting fish at the same time, and the entire time just the way he's looking is hilarious.
And then later just destroys everything.
He destroys the whole
Yeah.
apartment later, or office, yeah.
with a concrete dildo. He's really
that also the whole thing outside where he's like grabbing the boobs.
Yeah.
I know no one to ask better than this group. Was Montalban ever in a Bond film?
No.
Big miss.
But
Yeah,
there
big
is
miss.
This
see, the
guy
thing-
is a just iconic bad
Well,
guy.
in The Man with the Golden Gun, there's a guy who lives on an island, and the guy who played Tattoo on Fantasy Island is
His
like
henchman.
a Tattoo type character.
It's basically Christopher Lee
yeah,
playing Ricardo Montalban.
Okay.
basically, yeah.
He's most well known for in our circles from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan,
That's right.
and he's also in the Planet of the Apes movies
Yes, that's
that we
right.
just
Yep.
watched. He's
Jumps out
He is
a
a
window.
license to watch repeat offender.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He's an MVP.
He really is.
Well, and that's true because Khan was probably our highest rated Star Trek movie, and then he was in one of the higher rated Apes movies as well. So
Yeah.
and he'll be in one of the highest rated Lethal Weapon movies, or Naked Gun movies, I should say. And
Yeah.
And I seem to recall he's got a stellar top 4 that we guessed his movies like instantly. His top 4 is
Right.
literally the 2 Planet of the Apes movies, this movie, and Star Trek.
and Wrath of Khan, yeah. Way to ruin that one.
Well, we already did them.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite thing he does in this, and it's probably like the easiest thing he had to do, but he like really nails it, is like his plan where he presses a little like garage door opener and that does mind control on people. That's so fucking ridiculous, and he plays it so straight. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, this is my evil plan, and it's like really evil and scary, and it's like a fucking garage door opener, and these people are acting like silly robots, and
It's,
he's just like, yeah, I'm
it's,
evil.
It's that classic movie. I'm forgetting the name.
Manchurian
Manchurian
Yes,
Candidate.
exactly.
I'm willing to believe Montalban did not know he was in a comedy.
Well, I heard
He's so diabolical.
in that article you sent us, Matt, a lot of the baseball players were like, they read the script and they didn't realize that it was like, they didn't realize that it was supposed to be as like ridiculously funny. And then they got to the set and they were like, oh yeah, this is ridiculous.
This is
Everything is
stupid.
stupid. Yeah.
This isn't Dodger Stadium. Or
But also these guys, I mean, they were coming off of the airplane movies were very popular. Then they made Top Secret, which
bombed, right?
yeah, we like, but it didn't do well. And then they made the Police Squad series, which it was a mid-season replacement. They bought 6 episodes. They actually canceled the mid-season replacement after 4 episodes and didn't air the other 2.
Oh, wow.
And despite the fact that the critics loved it, like everyone loved the show, but nobody watched it, so they killed it. And then it actually developed a cult following in like cable reruns, which is why this movie got greenlit just a few years later. But you know, that's like going into this movie, it's not like they were a proven commodity. Unless you loved Airplane, you didn't think these guys were winners. You know, you thought they had bombed more than they had hit.
This is like you're saying like this is their truest success story. This is like really like
Yeah, they broke out with Airplane and Kentucky Fried Movie. Like Kentucky Fried Movie was like the little indie that got them on the map, and then Airplane was their big breakout success, and the sequel did well, but it was the same shit. And then Top Secret tried something new and bombed, and then this TV show didn't work, and it was like they were really close to director's jail. Nice beaver.
This is the best part.
This is a classic joke.
We just passed by some of his voiceover there. He does a great noir voiceover that I could have used more of in the movie. That was
Yeah.
one.
They bring it back in later movies.
They bring it
better in the
back later,
sequels.
yeah.
And they
but-
make it funnier too.
yeah.
Like a midget in a urinal. I'd have to stay on my toes.
Also, we'll talk about it more, but Priscilla Presley is like really good at this role. Like this is perfect for her. She's like in her wheelhouse and like just nailing it.
I think in one of them he says something like a blind man at an
Orgy.
orgy. I have to feel my way around.
Yeah. Now we were talking about like what are our like favorite memorable jokes. Obviously,
This is a good one too.
yeah, the ankle
So-
bracelet.
Well, now wait, I have a whole thing about this joke.
Okay, please,
In my
please.
research, I was like reading what are the best jokes or whatever, and I found a Reddit thread, and it was like, there's this one joke. This one guy was like, there's this one joke in Naked Gun that I still to this day don't get. And it's this joke when he says like, "Oh, that's a doozy of an ankle bracelet," and she says, "Oh, how did that get down there?"
How did that slip down
How
there?
did that
She says
slip down?
Oh, it
So-
slipped down there.
So what to you? What does that mean? What is that implying?
That means that like she's so like slinky. She can slide through
From her wrist?
I don't know that it means that much, but the idea is that it was on her wrist and somehow it slid down to her ankle, which is obviously physically impossible. It's like an absurdist.
It's like when a woman, like, you know, the tying the cherry stem in a knot, but then you see like people take it further to where it's like that's physically impossible. You can't do that with a cherry stem. It's like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like where it's like she's doing something a little suggestive and sexy, but they're actually like taking it to the point of like this doesn't make sense.
I'm 100% with you guys in that interpretation. I think that's what the joke means, and I find it funny because of that. But people online were disagreeing, and they like one person was saying that like it's implying that was some sort of like genital accoutrement, like, you know, it was like it slipped down.
Yeah, like a vagina bracelet, like they've always like one of those many vagina bracelets.
I don't think that's it.
So someone on the internet had a
like
take.
Are you saying?
And you brought it to the podcast.
Are you saying that someone on the internet is dumb?
I was surprised at how many.
It's an intellectual's joke, and it's very hard to explain.
Like a sort of like a necklace for the vulva.
Oh boy! By the way, can any of you guys tie a cherry stem with your tongue?
I cannot.
No.
It's pretty easy, but I can't do it anymore because I have fake teeth in the front. You need to be able to have that point in your palate where you're.
I will not leave this house until you do it.
I'm saying I can't anymore because you need that point where your palate.
I'm saying you can and you will.
Where your palate meets your teeth. You need to press the thing against that. But the secret is that you pull it into a knot as you take it out of your mouth.
This is my favorite car gag.
So you get
of
it all
the film.
set up.
The 14 airbags going rogue.
I love this.
I want to get the plates on that car.
I almost wanted the car to fly away, like from all the balloons.
I love the subtle jokes about like how he's like really ready to shoot.
I also
Shakespeare in the Park.
I also want to point out
You shot 4 actors. Good ones.
when I see people stabbing a man in togas in front of.
I also want to point out this film completely executes perfectly. Super small extras casting. The one-line people who were like cast to scream out one line and point at something. This woman here, the hysterical people. All
the
just
student
wonderful
driver
casting.
is amazing.
The student driver is excellent. That
Fantastic.
whole sequence is great.
Did you catch in the credits how those people got
Yeah,
credited?
all by their line. Fantastic.
Like, it's Enrico Palazzo.
Who is, of course, the guy from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is, he's only, as far as I know, he's only in those 2 movies, and he is a star.
Steals both of them.
Exactly.
Is he not the guy from Teen Wolf?
Oh, he's the guy from Teen Wolf, too. Yes. Oh, my God. What a career.
Yeah,
what a career.
Banged it in the 80s.
Yeah, seriously.
Banged it in the 80s.
No Lifetime Achievement Oscar? What the fuck?
Should have gotten an MTV surfboard or something.
Yeah.
I love the classic gag when they walk through the door and he walks around the set.
One of my other favorite bits coming here, his reaction to getting darted in the neck.
Why?
That's his best line in any of this. He just says why.
It's amazing.
So betrayed.
I'm trying to think of like what else George Kennedy was in that was a comedy. He's a great actor and he's so perfect. Why, Ted? Why? Oh my God! But he's so good in this, and I feel like the only other things I know him from are like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot and the Iger Sanction, which are both like serious and like a lot of old serious.
Kind of sound
parts.
made up.
Harris, was this you in this film?
Yeah. Too Tall Al.
The banana joke is like right out of the Police Squad show.
Yeah,
they do that same joke.
And that character, is
both
definitely.
the scientist guy and the Too Tall guy are both in the Police Squad show, as with like the same actors.
Lab techs. Yeah.
He used to open eye.
Great.
But going back to like what, like the standout jokes for me, honestly, the entire baseball sequence was like nothing I'd ever seen, and is still just like
it still holds up.
Like the end of the movie is perfect. Yeah,
like I associate like baseball with that. Like, you know, they're the same.
They still show scenes from that sequence like at baseball games.
Yeah,
I am an enormous baseball fan, as you guys might know, and the only thing I love more than baseball is film. And oddly, I've always found that there's very few baseball films that I think are good. It's just a hard sport. to make cinematic. And this remains one of my ultimate favorite baseball on film sequences, and it just kills. And one of the things that baseball needs is a sense of humor because it's a silly, weird game.
Yes.
And this gets it so aggressively on the nose, and I love it for it.
They
So
joke
wait.
about the things that are aggressively need to be joked about. It's like from baseball. It's like
Most especially the umpire showboating is just
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
totally.
funniest
Remarkable.
thing.
And
Remarkable.
they have Joe West in here, who later
Yeah.
became one of the most reviled
Ump show
umps
umps.
ever. Is in this movie. I think when we're talking about our favorite jokes, one of the ones that's really up there for me, that's maybe my favorite, is the whole sequence of the blooper reel. But specifically the part where the guy gets mauled by the tiger.
And actually gets mauled, in the face?
Yeah, the guy who gets mauled by the tiger gets me every time. And then
The
like
decapitation is the funny.
that's the funnier one.
and then, well, no, I think the tiger is funny because it's so it comes out of nowhere.
The guy getting
and
hit by a
it's-
car.
and it's so real. But then I also just love the what's his name, Mel Allen. It's like doing the how about that? but it's really, I realized later, I always thought it was the how about that that made me laugh. But it's the how about that in combination with Dick Enberg's face of just horror. He's like the audience surrogate, and as Mel Allen is just like giving his catchphrase, he's like, "What?" It's so good.
I wish we got one more glimpse of Dr. Joyce Brothers on screen.
On Squeen.
we're in the midst right now of another prompt, which was the joke that you love that maybe other people don't love as much. And for me, it's the naming of this character as Pap Schmear.
Oh,
I love
yeah,
it.
Which
so
for
good.
years I never knew what a Pap Schmear was, obviously, as a young boy. And I love that this movie, if you read Roger Ebert in the past, he had a rule of funny names, that characters with funny names are never funny. And this is the exception to the rule. Mr. Pap Schmear and Must Kill Pap Schmear are some of the greatest lines.
They bring him back
of all
too.
time.
He's in 33.
He's in the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But for just single jokes that I think really stand out to me as some of the funniest stuff. We haven't got to these yet, so forgive me for skipping ahead. But when he's monologuing and he runs out of sidewalk and he just says, "And where the hell was I?" That fucking kills me every
This
time.
is great.
And then when he's I love the whole first date sequence, but I think my favorite part is it's the same old story, and the story ends with she dies in a blimp accident above the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day. And she just looks at him and says, "Good year." And he says, "No, it was a bad one."
The worst.
The worst.
Yeah. That is too good.
I love the whole date sequence too, and the music video that they do.
my God.
It's great.
Something tells me I'm into something.
To me, that's another one with the great button of, I can't believe we just met yesterday.
yeah.
And they listed music video style as Herman's Hermits, even though it doesn't sound like Herman's Hermits. And I looked at in the end credits, it actually is just Peter Noon doing a sound-alike version of his band Herman's Hermits. I also love.
Why do you care?
I know I don't.
Why
I
would
just
you care?
It's interesting. I don't know. It's interesting to me that they got Peter Noon to do a sound-alike version of his Herman's Hermits song just for that.
Okay.
Watching Leslie Nielsen's ass in OJ's face.
Yeah.
How many times do they have to shoot that?
Pretty hot stuff.
I also love later on when Leslie Nielsen, I was talking to Colin about this before you guys got here, when he's doing the flips through his apartment.
Oh yeah, the stunt double gag.
Yeah,
He
I love
goes
that.
behind something and pops up again.
They do it so well.
I love that so much because it's they're doing a good job of hiding the stunt double's face, but the whole point of the joke is that it's the stunt double.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Leslie can't do that.
It's like they're showing off
Yeah.
how well they can fool us, and just showing off how often this happens in movies where, stuff like this, and we don't even notice it. And they're just like, look, you notice it now and you still are impressed.
Yeah, and they do it almost every time they have an opportunity for a stunt double. They kind of do it like that, and it's so much funny.
Well, the umpire dancing thing too
Yeah.
is another one where they've got him clearly somebody else. Oh, this
I
whole
think the
student
best
driver sequence
performance,
is amazing.
best performance by a stunt double in this movie is when they drag Priscilla Presley up the stairs at the end of the baseball game.
Clearly a dummy.
The blow up
No,
doll.
Not only is it a dummy,
stunt
but
double.
it's not a Ricardo Montalban also.
Yeah,
It's like-
you can tell. But they still hide his face, but you can tell it's not.
I love the student driver here, and also the driving instructor is perfect. Like how
yeah.
relaxed he is, and how just like now apply the
Is
brakes,
this-
put
yeah.
the car in reverse.
Is the instructor the same guy from Top Secret who holds the magnifying glass?
yeah, he
to
might
his
be in the
eye?
scene that's all in reverse.
Yeah.
I think he's like same guy from the Grey Poupon commercial.
My like favorite driving instructor that I remember he was my least favorite in the actual like driving school. And you know, this is going back to when I was 16. He was my least favorite then, but he was like my favorite ultimately because his whole thing was like he always had a Diet Coke, and he would sit in that seat, and every single time he took a sip of the Diet Coke, he would go,
He loved it.
every single time.
It's hot in Texas. So.
Did you guys all pass your driving test in the first try?
Better
I
believe
did.
it, baby.
Good for you. I did too. Although, I ran a red light, and when I tried to back into a parking space, I parked right on the line, and the guy was like, "How's it look on your
Sir,
side?
you're drunk."
How does it look on your side?" And I was like, "I can fix it." And he was like, "It's probably close enough," and then let me go.
You
that
ran a red light?
yeah.
Wow. And you
I mean, it
still
was
passed.
like yellow to red. You know,
Oh,
it was like
okay.
one of those where I decided to go for it rather than hesitate. And I think they liked my pluck.
Your aggressive driving
Yeah,
skills.
exactly. They're like, we've got enough overly cautious drivers out here. We need a couple of aggressive dudes.
Colin, here's your part, right? This is what
Yeah.
Yeah, like Bubbles in a. Who
just
was
missed-
that character?
Hopscotch.
Why was he trying to kill Nordberg? And for whom?
Just missed
Did
a
Ludwig lie to me?
classic GIF from
I
this
didn't have
movie.
any proof.
of The,
But somehow, I didn't entirely trust him either.
What's the GIF?
the nothing to see here
Oh yeah.
reaction. It's
Nothing
a
to
favorite
see here.
favorite GIF.
And if it was, did he know about it? And if he didn't, who did?
Jungle animal noises.
And where the hell was I?
I like one of my other favorite jokes is after the date sequence, they have this moment where she's like, "Oh, Frank, you've made me the happiest woman in the world," and he says, "Me too," and then they kiss. And the reason I love it so much is because they like to like hang a lantern on all the jokes in these things. They like to like they have like background jokes that you don't need to know, but sometimes like they just want to point out when something's a joke. Like even at the beginning in the car ride when he's like, how is Nordberg going to make it? He's like, the doctors give him a 50-50 chance, but there's only a 10% chance of that. And then they have a moment where like Leslie Nielsen looks at him funny after that to be like, that doesn't make any sense. So there's like no rhyme or reason for it. Anybody, Leslie Nielsen, who's like the biggest dummy in the movie, can be the guy who doesn't understand what the other person is saying. And I love that moment where it's just like, he just says, yeah, yeah, me too. Because it's like, you know, they just don't even comment on it. They just keep going and they leave it there.
I love these sexy lines that they have with each other. She's like, "How hot and how wet do you like it?"
Very hot.
The boiled roast.
Awfully wet.
And awfully wet.
Who doesn't like a boiled
The
roast?
boiled roast, yeah. I'm boiling a roast. It looks
She's
disgusting.
not boiling it in like stock with vegetables. She's just boiling it in straight water.
It does not look
Like Mom
appetizing.
used to make.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I better than the "you've made me the happiest woman" also is when she comes in and they kiss and they both lift their leg. I love that.
All right, you asked for least favorite jokes. Can I jump?
Yeah,
does
is it
anybody have-
happening right
It's
now?
no, it's happened already for me, but I'm curious if anybody else wants to lead or has.
Sure.
Because it was tough because there's not a lot of stinkers in this one for me.
Right. There's not. let me get into something more comfortable. He puts another suit on.
I'll offer mine as we watch the sequence. I picked it more because it didn't really connect to anything, but for me, the cold open of in Beirut, not bad on its own, but kind of doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. Doesn't really connect. I don't love the Three Stooges stuff as much, and
I'll kind of agree with you on that.
yeah, you
I
know,
agree.
for me, if it had started on the OJ sequence breaking in, that is my favorite
mhm.
bit. Would have been just absolutely
I
perfect.
think that scene is probably the most dated of
Yeah.
the whole movie.
Right.
Because it's like
'Cause,
specifically
like nobody
calling
remembers
out like,
Ayatollah Khomeini and
Idi
Muammar
Amin.
Gaddafi.
Gorbachev,
Yeah.
Yasser Arafat.
Muammar.
and, yeah.
Muammar, I recognize years later when Momar they like dragged him through Libya. Or
Remember
whatever.
him
I was
from this?
like,
Yeah,
I felt
I
really
remember
weird
his
about
I remember
that.
him from
death.
I remember him from Naked Gun.
I
I
felt
thought he
super
died
weird
in that
about that,
movie.
yeah.
I thought wasn't he killed by Frank Drebin in 1990?
I didn't. I
Just
didn't
punch,
Say
just
that
punch.
to someone.
I do like that they don't include Saddam Hussein and they kind of
Right.
reserve him for hot shots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He'll get what's coming to him.
Yeah.
they do introduce Pap Schmear in that scene,
Right.
Right.
and it's also kind of like the jingoistic ridiculousness of this LA detective who, on vacation to get over a woman who left him, goes to Beirut and attends a conference of international supervillains who are real people, just to punch them and then fall out of a window.
Just to punch him out.
Yeah, it's absurd, and it's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not. I wonder if in earlier versions, or maybe even in the original when they shot it, they did start with the Nordberg thing, and they were like, no, we kind of need Drebin in the opening scene.
I will
to
say,
establish
And
this.
at the
it feels
time,
like the kind of
yeah,
thing that
it's very like late night humor
Yeah.
checklist. You know, like
Yeah.
I-
Yeah, it doesn't
Letterman,
match
Leno.
the style of the rest of the movie. Yeah.
I will say it does really help set up the Weird Al Yankovic joke. Because like he thinks people are there to see him, and they're not.
How about Weird Al for staying power?
Oh yeah,
They probably thought they were getting a flash in the pan.
Yeah, that
yeah.
could be
But
the
of
most
the joke
dated
there.
joke, but it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
yeah, it's totally relevant because he's bigger than ever and still
Yeah.
looks roughly the same.
you got to stay weird.
Here's your line, Colin.
Goodyear, no, the worst. You poor
And
dear.
Weird Al, if I'm not mistaken, is in the third one also.
He sure is.
Yeah.
I
The Oscars, baby.
I think my least favorite joke, and it's not a bad joke, and I'm pretty sure I probably laughed hysterically at it at all times, but it's one of the few ones in a movie that probably should have lots of jokes that didn't age well. Most of them do, and there was something that like I didn't love about when he shoots the fat woman with a dart and she falls from an upper deck and crushes
It's low hanging,
unnecessary.
but
crushes
it's
Reggie
well
Jackson.
executed.
Yeah, it's so well executed, which is the only reason it works. But it's one of those things that I was like, what are we? I don't know what we're saying. What are we saying here? And like that, she's basically just a fat lady prop.
That's true.
Which
Yeah.
didn't make me comfortable, although it is hilarious.
How about Leslie's bod, by the way? He was
Oh,
he's
I
pretty
was
buff.
shocked.
Yeah,
I was like,
looking pretty good.
I had to look up how old he was, and I forgot how old he was. But I was like,
69, because
yeah,
he's sexy as
he-
hell.
exactly.
I think this is probably the least funniest joke to me.
So this joke,
condom thing?
this
Yeah.
joke I love because it reminds me how young I was when I watched this movie, because I must have watched it with my dad, as I mentioned, and I had to have asked what were condoms because I didn't understand the joke, and I must have gotten an answer appropriate for a child, so that it was
I definitely got like you'll figure it out
something-
later.
I think I must have got, I'm assuming now because I don't remember vividly, something like it's what people use for sex to stay safe. And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought that's what condoms were for like years, and never knew that specifically was a sight gag.
Right. Okay.
I'm older than you guys. I didn't have to ask what condoms were because I thought I knew.
Because
And
I
then
was definitely banging by the time I
yeah,
saw it.
yeah, by the time I was like 8 or whatever. Yeah. No, but I definitely like saw that and was like, oh, condoms. Yes. I kind of get, but like
I've been using them wrong all this time.
Yeah, exactly. But like didn't get it, and then thought like I knew that this was a gag movie and that was probably a gag. But I thought like maybe that is a kind of a yeah, that's a funny joke.
That is a good joke.
They're laughing walking out of the movie theater and they've just watched Platoon.
It's a good joke because you know what's coming. You know they're going to reveal that it's a movie that's not funny.
Yeah.
It's like, what's it going to be? I couldn't remember what it was. I'm like, is it Sophie's Choice or something? Like, what is it?
But I think I
Platoon.
also had that, even knowing that, sort of having probably a better idea what condoms were, I think I also thought like, oh, that doesn't seem like much fun, but there are probably people who just cover their whole, like who just don't have physical contact when they have sex. They're covering their whole bodies for safety, AIDS. and
It
everything.
made sense to a 6-year-old
Yeah.
or whatever age I was.
Yeah.
really.
I definitely got the like you'll you'll find out when you're older is like the whole explanation I got, and I did have to wait until I was older, and then it was way funny to me.
Colin watched it every year. He would just watch that scene and just be like, am I old enough yet? Still doesn't make any sense to me.
He's always wondering if I'll get it.
And then last year,
I can't get the condom below my neck.
last year, as he was trying to pull a condom over his head for the 15th time, he was like, oh, wait. You can't do it. That's
You have
the
no
joke.
idea.
Did you hear about Colin? He died. How? He choked himself to death by pulling a condom over his head.
I think he fucked up with autoerotic asphyxiation.
It's a Howie Mandel problem.
I've got kind of a big nose, so like it was a real breakthrough once I got past the nostril.
This is another gag that I think it doesn't really pay off. They've got like, it's like funny. It's
This
a funny
feels like an inside joke.
It's a funny idea that they're getting the pink shit from the pistachios on. You guys are probably, do you even remember when there was pink stuff on pistachios?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So Matt's old enough. Yeah. So there used to be a thing where pistachios were, the people who imported them were importing just nasty, rotten pistachios. Because they were hard to get and they were hard to import and they were hard to keep fresh. They were hard to ship fast enough.
Yeah.
So you'd have all these rotten pistachios and they would look rotten and they would like be black and nasty. And what they would do was cover them in this pink powder so you couldn't see how rotten they were. And that was how like my grandfather used to like go to the stores looking for pink pistachios because he thought those were the better kind because these newfangled non-pink pistachios seemed like bullshit to him because he grew up eating pink pistachios. And now they don't do that anymore because it really was just a way to hide that you're selling rotten, bad goods. But still, they're eating the pink pistachios. Their lips are pink, and there's not really a follow-up joke aside from the shells outside of the car. Which is,
you're right. That's nuts.
I think Ace Ventura did it better when he's like eating the pistachios on the plane, and then they cut to the pile, and it's this big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bingo.
These people who come up with these jokes, they're really cracked.
I would love. It's like my dream to make a movie like this.
This is great with, he's so careful covering his tracks here.
We'll just shell those jokes.
yeah. They set it up where he's like searching the office, but he's being really particular about the tiniest details, so nobody could possibly detect that he was there.
House of Cards, and then he destroys the entire thing.
Yeah. He yanks the paper out from the House of Cards without disturbing it, and then he destroys every single item in the office.
Yeah,
It's really incredible.
This is one of my favorite sequences.
The piano going off the whole time.
Specifically, what comes at the end, the getaway.
Statues.
No, the getaway with the statues and the dick. Like
As
everything.
as a kid, I probably rewound these scenes like I don't know how many times.
And I don't know when I saw this, but I didn't get how, like, other than like when he's fucking with the statue's dick. I got that he's like touching the statue's penis, and that the statue's penis is big and responding, but I didn't get like he is like going face to like two hands.
He's hungry, baby.
He's all over. Yeah. He is all over that cock, and
he was an early pansexual hero.
Yeah, as a young boy, I don't think I appreciated how ridiculous that whole sequence with the penis is. And when I watched it recently, this week, I was like, oh my God, they really went all out with it. Like, he is fondling that dick. He's got two hands on it. He's yanking it. He's hanging off of it. Like the whole thing.
Gag reflex.
No gag reflex at all. Yeah. And then he storms into the apartment and he's staggering around with this giant wang in his hands. It's got the balls and everything. And this woman he's already assaulted her, and she's just freaking out.
I want to live in a building one day that has this.
I want
these accoutrements.
I want to go to architecture school and become an architect just so I can build a building.
Fun fact: I was the model for the male.
Yeah. Nice job.
But like you see,
they made you a little taller too.
They
made you a little taller too.
You see statues with penises, but you never see the penis like out separated from the balls like that.
like it's like
they
the
didn't
super
fluff
droop.
in ancient Greece.
Yeah, it really is like it's a semi. It's a semi. It's not fully there. It's getting there.
The large-breasted woman who's like reacting to all of this, she's really doing a lot to like make it.
So I have to bring some personality, some personal something into the pod here today. After my aliens appearance, where I lauded the film as a feminist piece, my wife told me I should try to bring some feminism into the Naked Gun discussion, and I had to bring up this scene as a real highlight of the
By the way,
Did
all
Emily
those
watch this with you?
all those
She has not.
statues
In the past, she's
all those
watched it
statues'
with me.
boobs are fake. You can even see the little anchor scars.
I seem to remember in
No,
my
those are
memory they
natural,
cut
babe.
back to the statue and it has a sad face after that. Like they should have done that.
Yeah.
All right, what are we talking? What's
There's
what's-
another wonderfully cast
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
Just a great.
Yeah.
Yep, her boobs were great.
Destroying property, arson, sexual assault with a concrete dildo. God, that's so bad.
Who amongst us has not?
I do love the one joke like when he gets fired from the police force and he's like to think like now if I shoot someone like
I
it'll
could get
be
arrested.
a crime.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very timely. Wouldn't it be an interesting world if cops shooting
like,
people?
That is kind of one of the things about these movies is like, yeah, like this, like in the time of this movie, like really making fun of police for being like that and like making fun of them is like acceptable. But like those kind of jokes, like as much as they make sense and still could land with certain audiences today, are like way harder to do. Because
I think what's interesting
it's
is
too true.
the jokes didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
It was true then. It was
Yeah.
true before then. It's true now. You know, it's like the fact that like cops really don't face consequences very often when they shoot people, even if they shouldn't have. And it's funny that even this long ago we kind of knew it. We knew it. That joke wouldn't be funny if we didn't kind of know even then.
There's also-
that cops got away with shooting people they shouldn't be shooting. You know,
There's also a little bit like we are in this world where like they're in police squad, which is like this made up higher division of the police. That's
right.
like
You can get away with a little more, but
fantastical,
Yeah.
you know, like, but
and he's of course like a ridiculous shoot first, ask questions later, hard nosed.
yeah, it's built into the character as
But
well.
it wouldn't be funny if there wasn't that element of truth sort of embedded in it.
I forgot about this sequence. This sequence is really good and like kind of subtle in that all his food is rotten and like years old.
Did you just call this subtle?
Subtle. It
pouring
feels
cream
subtle.
cheese, pouring cottage cheese out of his milk carton.
It feels subtle in that we're like an hour into this and we're just remembering this
If
scene
you
like,
notice,
as we're seeing it.
If you notice, you can almost see milk on the milk carton, very subtly.
I love the thing at the end on his top of the fridge. Yeah, that's great. But hey, while we're talking about cops and whatever, like I was going to ask the question: are there any jokes in this movie that, if it were made today, they wouldn't do? Or like in that article I sent you guys, they said that the baseball scene is great and like the whole thing with the national anthem or whatever, but like back then it was like you can make fun of the national anthem. Now the national anthem is like so precious and there's so much like political hullabaloo about
When
that.
did Roseanne
Kaepernick
Barr sing
stuff.
the national anthem?
I was-
that
Oh,
before
that was
or
like
after
95
this?
or something. That was
I think
after.
Yeah, it was after.
this.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was ironic as you were talking about the cop stuff, how like Zucker became one of like the most conservative guys in Hollywood after 9/11, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for jokes that would age terribly in this because it's a freaking almost 30-something-year-old comedy.
In a genre that lives on the edge.
Is already like wet, soft cheese. But it for me was shocking how few there were. But the one that stuck out, and it's kind of toothless, but it would probably not pass the muster today. Certainly not at PG-13. Is when he's changing clothes with the umpire, when he's stealing the umpire's clothes.
Oh,
And he's got him bent over
Yeah.
in the compromising position
like,
with
"Sorry,
his pants
fellas."
down.
The
yeah.
janitor.
Yeah. And it's so innocent the way they
I
play
actually-
it. They could have gone for such a more like mean-spirited version of that joke. But
Yeah,
they,
the
I had
janitor
a
is
different
like,
reaction that
Yeah.
it was cool that the janitor was like not judging.
yeah, right.
Like, I
right.
was like, wow.
Very, very woke.
Yeah,
for,
this janitor for a long
very
time
woke for
ago,
a
this janitor
1980s,
was like, dude,
custodian.
whatever you want to do, I'm
Right.
not going to yuck your yum.
Right,
You know, like,
right.
I can't hear
I
what
didn't
you're
know
saying.
this
Stop
was
shooting.
the butt fucking room. Sorry, guys.
yeah, this is great when he's getting shot at and he's like, try yelling without the gunshots. What else should we do?
Yeah, now's a good time to do
Top
top four.
Yeah, top four. What are we?
All
All
right,
right,
who's
Colin,
our-
you gonna run it?
Who's our person?
Well, it's a new series, so we should switch it up. Who ran it last time? I haven't run it. In
No,
a
I mean,
while.
I'm running.
Oh, you're running it.
He,
Okay.
he hates guessing because he's so bad at
Okay,
it.
fine.
I know. I mean, I'll guess
I
if
mean-
you want, but I don't want to.
It's tough because most of these people are in the movie in all the future ones. So
What about Priscilla Presley?
Priscilla Presley's not going to be good.
tough.
It's going to be
I would say
three Naked Gun movies and some random thing we've never heard of.
We've already
she was
done
literally
Ricardo
nothing
Montalban.
else.
Oh, here's a question before we jump in. How similar is this sequence to the scene in Batman?
It's pretty clearly a parody, right?
Similar,
no, but this came out before Batman.
Oh, I don't think it
Yeah.
did.
It did. I looked it up.
Tim
I
Burton
had to.
totally copied this shit.
Yeah. This is from
Like
88.
even with the hand and the ring.
Are you
like,
sure
like
this
coming
came
out
out
of the
before Batman?
100%. This is 1988.
And 89 was when Batman came out.
Word?
It's so
I thought for sure it was parodying
Yeah,
it.
because the hand coming out.
that
is
shot right there.
definitely-
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought for sure this was aping that.
That's every movie had this back
oh my
then.
God.
The entire 80s,
Nice
all the
little-
movies they had
nice
the same
little
sequence.
plant there, though.
Like
for
there was
the
always
joke to
nuclear
come.
waste that people.
Yeah,
were falling
every
into.
single film in the 1980s had that sequence.
It was just a hot dog. It was the hot dog gag, though.
It's the hot dog gag.
Yeah, it's the hot
Yeah.
dog gag. So it's,
when Harry met Sally, you remember that classic part when Harry falls in the toxic waste?
Yeah,
he's
you're
reaching
right.
up.
his hand
forgot
is out.
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And then the other guy's like, "I'll have what he's having." Yeah, it's classic when Harry met Sally joke. No, it's just a setup. You needed to see the pinky ring for that. If anything, maybe Batman stole that thing
But
from
that's
this.
weird. That
would be weird
to steal it from this
It
movie.
would be weird. Yeah. Well,
This is a good
I
gag.
guess maybe Tim Burton's a fan of the Zucker brothers and just wanted to pay homage to his heroes.
Maybe.
He did also cast that guy who yells, "It's Enrico Palazzo."
That's true.
They're friends. Maybe it's a connection. Yeah. So it's Priscilla Presley's going to be terrible. We might do Leslie Nielsen because I think we have got guest stars in the other movies.
Yeah, I think we should probably
We could do
Leslie.
George Kennedy.
Okay.
Although I've already said my guesses for George Kennedy.
OJ.
It's got to be Leslie Nielsen or O.J. Simpson. I think.
Okay, we'll do Leslie Nielsen, and then we can save OJ we can maybe do 2 top 4s or whatever.
Can we just guess the first all three Naked Gun movies as just one blanket guess to just get us a head start?
You can do whatever you want, but we have an audience. Why don't you guess to please the audience? You never guess to
I'll
please
guess
the
this.
audience.
I'll guess this movie.
You guess The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad?
Yeah.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Oh, it wasn't Jonathan's turn. He's our guest.
Oh, sorry. These first three are going to
Yeah, that
be
was
easy.
my
It doesn't
guess.
really matter.
Rude.
So we're doing.
Jonathan's going to get
This
the
is the
points for
IMDb
that.
top 4 of Leslie Nielsen. This
Yeah.
is what we're
Yes.
doing. I will say Airplane.
Airplane is correct.
It's insanity. I
That
can't believe
is
you didn't just guess it on
correct.
Naked Gun movie.
I'm gonna say.
I'm not a coward, man.
I'm gonna say Scary Movie 3.
What a dumb idea.
That's wrong.
Damn.
Horrible.
I'm going to say Naked Gun 2,
Naked Gun.
The Smell of Fear.
I'm sorry. The title of the film is Naked Gun 2.5. The
Oh,
Smell
sorry.
of Fear.
That is
So
notable.
that is incorrect.
That's incorrect.
Pat Sajak wouldn't take that answer.
Ouch.
Because you didn't.
Yeah, whatever.
I think in the future we're gonna have top 4 answers in the form of a question.
Everyone's trying to
it's
keep
back
me
to
down.
Jonathan.
But the Naked Gun 2.5 is correct, but that's not what you said.
Oh,
Well, then
what's
who
correct?
gets the point?
I think
is
Jonathan gets your points
correct.
again. Jonathan leading 3-0.
This is
All right,
correct.
Jonathan, try to make it a clean sweep.
Correct.
So we've got Naked Gun, Naked Gun 2, and what-
Airplane.
An airplane. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a fourth
Number
one.
4.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say Naked Gun 33 1/3, the final insult. I will instead
choice.
say. You think it's bad choice? I should stick with that.
I think, well, I don't know if it's going to be it, but I think that's a smarter choice. I don't know. I don't know what else it could be. Go ahead. You do you, Jonathan.
I want to zag on this one, and I'm going to say Spy Hard.
Spy Hard is incorrect. Great guess though. You blew I saw Spy Hard in the theaters.
As did I.
As
was
did
it?
I.
Was it indeed Naked Gun 33 1/3?
Uh,
The final
Matt-
insult?
Matt,
The game is not over.
I will guess. Yeah, fuck it. Naked Gun 33 1/3.
Naked Gun 33 1/3. The final insult is incorrect.
I knew it.
Wow.
See?
Okay.
No, you didn't know it. You didn't know it. You guessed it.
Dracula, Dead and Loving It.
Ooh.
Dracula Dead and Loving It is a great guess, but it is also incorrect.
Wrong.
It's back to me.
Back to you.
Leslie, look at me, man. What else were you in?
We said the name of this movie earlier.
Guess the Jay Moore one.
He's not in that one.
Oh, isn't he?
No, the other
Oh,
guy's in
the-
it. What's his
uh,
name?
Lloyd Bridges.
Lloyd Bridges.
Don't guess that one then.
I know what it is.
No, you don't.
Was he in like? What the fuck is the name of that movie? Was he in What's that high rise? Is that the movie? Like in the building?
Towering Inferno.
Towering Inferno. Is that the one
You're
I
thinking
mean?
of O.J. Simpson.
That's incorrect.
I am not thinking of O.J.
Wrong.
Simpson.
But he might have been in the Poseidon Adventure.
Yes, he's the captain, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm
the
going to
adventure.
say, is it wrongfully accused?
Oh, damn it. We did
accused
say that before.
is
Oh, no. All
Movie
right.
Blue.
Well, that is fine.
I really like the mayor's dress in that last scene when they're greeting the queen at the big ballroom.
The thing I remember from this movie the most, because it was like so prominently featured in the trailer, was him riding the queen down the table.
May she rest in peace.
Oh, yeah.
When the captain's trying to pretend that it shouldn't be news, that he like jumped all over the queen.
Yeah, it's like the photo is the front page of the paper, and he's acting like it's like a bunch of muckraking scandal sheets.
Oh my god! What? You know I mean, say what you want about the queen, but like we didn't get enough hijinks out of her while she was still alive. Where was the stuff like that happening in real life?
I was constantly trying to mount her, but
You know,
To no avail.
we didn't do a plot summary for this movie,
Oh,
but
shit.
we've kind of summarized the plot as we've gone. What do you think? Should we try and do it, or?
Well, I don't know.
Whose
I feel
turn?
like
Well,
it's-
it depends on whose turn it is.
Oh, yeah.
you better get
if it's my
going, man,
turn,
because it's an
forget it.
Yeah,
intricate
and
one.
if it's my turn, it's definitely not.
Wait, who did the last? Colin, you were doing Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Who did the one before that?
What was before that? Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Was that?
Who picked Planet of the Apes?
I did.
Yep.
Then you definitely didn't do the plot
Fuck.
summary
So it's
for
me. Damn it.
Yep.
No, no, you did. You didn't do the plot summary for Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
It must have been.
So that means I haven't done it in a while. I did it for Harry
Oh
Potter.
yeah, right. Oh yeah, right. So it is.
I don't want to do it though.
You.
I'll do the
Okay.
next one.
Yeah.
We've kind of gone too far. We've done
I feel
we've
like-
done the plot.
Well, we know what the plot is. They're investigating some stuff. The guy's bad. He's dating his secretary. They go to a baseball game.
It's really
Yeah,
just
these movies like they're all the same.
It's a tale as old as time.
a police officer finds out about a plot to kill the Queen of England on her visit to Los Angeles.
And hilarity ensues.
And it ends with baseball. We are now in the baseball phase of this movie. Which
Yeah,
is the
this
best
is
part.
where like
The best
it
phase
just
of
starts
this
heating up so much right here. Like just gets funnier and funnier.
Yeah. It's like every part of this is so good.
Enrico Palazzo. The Enrico Palazzo, like there's like 4 or 5 jokes built into the fact that Enrico Palazzo is there. The fact that the entire baseball stadium doesn't know what he looks like anyways, so that like Frank can just like go out there.
Which is the
I
truth.
love this.
It's the absolute truth. And like this is another gag. The guys are sitting.
The gutter punks are in the wrong seats.
That's
Yeah,
what
of
I
course.
mean. This
Notice
is a
the guy-
classic baseball thing.
Yes.
Like every time
Yeah,
you
go to if
Yeah.
you have good seats at a baseball game and you show up late, there will be guys sitting in your seats already that
Yeah.
you have to kick out.
And then when the queen has to like pass the hot dog to the person next to
Yep.
her. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you ever notice the guy in the blue turtleneck who gives the queen the eyes as she passes by?
No.
Really kind of feeling her out.
But
Shooting
yeah,
a shot.
that's the Enrico Palazzo, the random person that's famous in certain circles, but that nobody in the baseball stadium has ever heard of, is another classic baseball joke. I like the queen throwing out the first pitch. That's although she doesn't do it from the mound or even from in front of the mound, she does it from her box there.
I feel like
royal-
that seems accurate.
Her
They
royal
wouldn't make her
box.
move.
Yeah.
Her tight little royal box.
Oh God.
What? Are you trying to say sexually suggestive?
No, of course not.
About an elderly queen who just passed
No,
away.
of course not. It's just a miracle that box was so small at this stage in her
You're
life.
just digging your hole deeper. You're digging into the box even deeper.
Yikes. Oh yeah. The other thing about
You
Enrico
guys should have got
Palazzo-
Meghan Markle to be the guest on this podcast.
Oh, that
we
would've
did.
been
She
great.
canceled.
She has a bad history with Harris though.
No worse than the queen.
We were supposed to record this episode a couple days ago on Sunday morning. We were going to do a Sunday morning recording, and I went to see Ant-Man on Saturday night. And when I got home, I was like, "Fuck!" Now I have to watch Naked Gun. And so I watched it, and I was up till like 1 a.m. or something like that. I was so tired, and I texted with these guys. I'm like, we're going to do it. We're still on for Sunday. Colin starts texting us at the last second. He's like, 9's kind of early. Maybe we could do like 3. I'm like, fuck you, Colin.
No, he wanted to do it earlier.
Oh, that's right.
He wanted it earlier. I was
Yeah.
telling him, I don't wake up till like 9:30, so 9 is already too early.
I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to happen. I'm like fighting with all my power. Like, we're going to do this. We made the plan. We all watched the movie. It's going to happen. Then literally like the middle of the night, I wake up in a panic and I'm like, we never booked a guest for Naked Gun.
I'm so glad that's your problem.
I know. I'm like, oh, fuck it. We're not doing it.
Oh, boy.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Was it better than Ant-Man or worse? Naked Gun.
Oh, so much better. Yeah.
And there's bombs everywhere.
Oh yeah, he doesn't know the words. But the best is when they cut to Palazzo and like he's like all tied up and he's struggling. Like,
there's cutaways to everyone realizing that it's not Enrico Palazzo and that he's fucking terrible at this. But the last person they cut to is Enrico Palazzo, bound and hogtied in his dressing room, watching. He's banging his head, crying because it's got his name in like giant letters below this idiot who doesn't even know the words.
I love the cops like inching their way towards him. It's so stupid.
because they got to respect the anthem.
Yeah. So in that article I sent you guys, there was like all this info about how they originally wanted the Dodgers or they wanted the Milwaukee Brewers, and
Right. And the one of them wanted the Twins. They couldn't get the Twins.
Yeah. The writers are from Milwaukee and Minnesota, so they each wanted their hometown teams, and they couldn't get either one of them.
yeah,
But they could get Dodger Stadium, but not the Dodgers, which is kind of interesting.
Totally bizarre. So we're watching the Angels play at Dodger Stadium. Not that anyone would recognize as Dodger Stadium. It's not like it's like an iconic.
I would.
Baseball.
I
It's
for
not like
sure
it's-
recognize
Yeah, it's not
it.
like it's an iconic baseball field or anything.
I recognize it when they're up on the
Sorry, I missed
at
that.
the end when he's like holding her at gunpoint. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's definitely.
And it really hasn't changed that much. Oh my God, the car.
Third oldest stadium in baseball.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you know
and,
the other? Do you know the two?
Wrigley Field and Fenway.
That is correct.
They cut to Wrigley Field here. I read
There is a shot. Yeah, there's like one shot of Wrigley Field cut into this. Yeah, I think it's funny that they like have all these real.
Look at him; he gets mauled in the mouth.
I
there.
know,
This
just
guy.
gets
He
totally
really
his
gets
face
it.
totally clawed.
Was that-
Oh my God.
Was that tiger like declawed or something? Like, how did he not
No,
just start
that
like
actor died.
spewing,
That actor died.
spewing blood from his face?
It was not pretty.
That actor also died. This was the deadliest film since Twilight Zone.
Dick Edberg's face totally sells it, and Mel Allen is just like just digging every moment of it. Incredible.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they actually the Major League Baseball said you have to use Seattle because I guess Seattle was struggling to like make a name for themselves. It's also funny that apparently in that article they said they were going to use Reggie Jackson regardless of what team they used, and it was just a coincidence that they used the Angels, which is a team he retired from the year earlier. So he actually was an Angel, a year before this. And they were going to use it. You can see the string on the curveball the Queen throws, or I guess a screwball.
I didn't notice it
There's not
until
a
I
name
watched
for
it on
that
this
pitch.
ginormous TV.
Yeah, nice TV, Colin.
They set up the players' wives thing. Was that for a later joke that I missed?
Yeah, I feel like there should have been a player's girlfriend's box.
Yeah, you see them.
The tobacco bit.
Yeah, when they spit, exactly.
Oh,
And this
right,
guy's
right.
from Reservoir Dogs. I never noticed that.
Lawrence
Right.
Tierney, yeah, from Reservoir Dogs and
Where's Mr. Pink?
Dillinger. He was in a lot of movies in the
It's like he's in the room with us.
in the 40s. Dillinger and I think Born to Kill.
You're as
was
dead
another
as
one of those.
Dillinger.
Yeah.
Says something.
Yeah, that is a line from Reservoir Dogs.
The
absolutely.
umpiring is my favorite though. First, he feels everybody up. Then he doesn't know he's supposed to call strikes and balls.
The best umpire jokes in the entire thing is when the pitch comes in and he's just sitting there with his hands on his knees, and everyone in the stadium like they hold it for so long, and everyone just sits there, and then he's like
strike as a question. He's like asks them.
This bit makes me miss chewing tobacco in baseball.
Mhm.
I have to say,
Oh,
we
'cause
lost, we
mean,
lost
you just-
something beautiful.
There's
Is
still
it-
a lot of
is it-
spitting
it's
with
not
the
allowed?
sunflower.
It is
more
banned.
spit
Yeah, it's
everywhere.
banned.
Now they spit sunflower seeds all over the place. They needed to spit something. Though.
There has to be spitting.
There has to be spitting. It's as American as apple pie in baseball.
And I
Honestly-
want to disagree with you, Harris. The best umpire bit is when he calls strike 3 when it's halfway.
Yeah.
He's feeling the mojo.
The moonwalking
Right.
kills me.
even the second strike where he's like, strike, yay.
If you watch enough baseball, you will see a hot ump who's ready to call that
Oh,
strike
totally.
3.
And now it's become like a thing. Like anytime if you're on Twitter and watching a baseball game and some ump is showing off, you'll get the memes will start popping up, and it's all just Leslie Nielsen gifs.
So, going back to like bringing, mouth tobacco back into baseball.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
Do you
It's
think?
called smokeless tobacco.
Yeah, it's true.
It's called gum cancer.
Are you
tobacco.
also one of those people who has the opinion that they should start making the cups more uncomfortable so that we can see more of them adjusting themselves in the crotch?
I don't have an official opinion on the matter.
But everyone wants to
thought you were
see
just
the-
going to go with that. Like, yes, absolutely. They should be touching themselves quite a bit more.
I mean,
I have no problem with it. I have no problem.
touching themselves is an important element.
It's important to the game. It's important to the spirit of the game.
I love his face right there. He's like so giddy.
Right.
Oh my god.
The dance. Even the pitcher doesn't like it.
Leslie Nielsen trained for 6 months to get this dance sequence down.
Yeah. It's like obviously not him.
He trained with
that move
he
is
trained
so
with the
good.
guy that trained Travolta for Saturday
Oh
Night
my
Fever.
God. So good. He won't stop doing it either. Oh, and then they start playing the Randy Newman song.
Oh,
yeah.
This is probably the first time I heard this Randy Newman song, and maybe the first time I heard any Randy Newman song. And I as a person who loves Randy Newman, this has become like, anytime I don't even like LA teams, but every time an LA team wins and they play I Love LA at the end of it, I'm like, well, it was worth it for this.
Mm-hmm.
Song is a Bible to me. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, this whole sequence is great when he's patting everyone down and fucking up everything. He's safe. I love that.
Oh yeah, the different ways of cleaning the plate off.
Yeah.
It's pretty subtle, but it's a nice little change of pace. Yeah, and then when they get to the 7th inning and he knows they can't make it to the middle of the inning, so he
To
starts
prevent them from getting any outs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets into a fight with the other umpires and he ejects 2 umpires.
Oh,
All right, you're out of here.
So you asked for jokes that we might love more than other people, or otherwise subtle jokes. There's no subtle jokes in this movie,
No.
but this one, where he's checking the pitcher for a weapon, and instead he finds every single banned substance that a pitcher could ever use.
I think
And
it's
he's
foreign
caught
materials.
red-handed, yeah.
Foreign materials.
And he
is what
just
they
lets
call it,
him
yeah.
walk
Does
as
he
a
pull a
baseball
cork out of
fan.
his
I
Yeah,
love
he
it.
uncorks
Is that
the
this?
bat.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
literally uncorks the bat with like a wine cork. Corker. Yeah.
he gives the pitcher a pat on the back after he finds all that stuff.
I also think
Oh, yeah, there it
I also think it's pretty one of the things that occurred to me when I was watching this was like
This is such a good gag.
Reggie Jackson might be one of the most like successful baseball players that we don't really think about anymore.
I still think about Reggie Jackson.
Do you? I feel like he's never
Hell yeah.
when does anybody bring up Reggie Jackson? And
3
literally,
home runs
this is
in
one
a
of the,
World
this
Series
is one of the-
game?
I'm not. I know Reggie Jackson's bona fides. You don't have to tell me.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like Reggie Jackson was like this iconic baseball player in the '70s and early '80s, and obviously everyone wanted him in this movie because he's so recognizable. But at the same time, when's the last time anybody talked about Reggie Jackson? I don't know.
Yeah,
It
I'm
just
taking the
doesn't-
no on that. Reggie gets props.
You hear Reggie getting
yeah.
props now? I
Hell
don't
yeah.
know.
No, I get what you're
Hell
saying.
yeah.
I mean, it's just been a long time. You
Yeah.
know, he's not in the lexicon of like current baseball players who are
Yeah,
popular.
I-
I get what you're saying, but he's still we know who he is.
Dude, yeah, but does any non-baseball fan know Reggie Jackson the same way non-baseball fans know, Derek Jeter or like? I mean, obviously
they played
that's
30
I'm trying
years
to,
apart.
But I'm trying to think of somebody who played like Carl Yastrzemski. People remember Carl Yastrzemski.
More than Reggie
More-
Jackson?
Yeah, more people remember Reggie
No, they
Jackson.
don't.
Outside of Boston, like Yastrzemski is not as famous.
No one gives a fuck about Carl Yastrzemski.
That's
I went to high school with a guy
accurate.
named Carl Yastrzemski, and people used to call him Carl Yastrzemski all the time.
I'm trying to think of a good analog because I really don't feel like a lot of people talk about Reggie Jackson that much.
As compared to who?
considering where he stands. Well, that's what I'm trying to think of, somebody of a similar era.
What about Pete Rose? He's of a similar era.
Yeah,
But, like,
I feel like everyone knows who Pete Rose is.
yeah,
and
but
I feel
that's
like
because he's
He's
younger.
infamous.
The most vile piece of shit in baseball history.
Infamous in that he's more than famous. He's infamous.
He's so famous.
So famous.
He's
He's infamous.
I walked by him in Las Vegas, and I was just like, God, you're disgusting and pathetic. Pete
I met
Rose.
him once. I met him at some kind of a
I
signing.
would rather never meet him. That's my opinion on Pete.
What? Wait, why do you hate Pete Rose? He was only betting on himself.
Yeah, you just hate confidence, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And statutory rape. And
Yeah, of course.
We don't talk about that.
He has like a bad alcohol problem.
Maybe
too,
I'm
right?
wrong, but I feel like a lot of general people don't appreciate the fact that Reggie Jackson is like maybe the greatest baseball player of his era, and I don't feel
That
like it's
he
like
is not.
largely recognized.
that he is not, but he is.
We'll name a couple of the other ones, and maybe I'll have some names of people that people know more than Reggie Jackson.
Mike Schmidt was the premier player of that generation. You want to turn this into a baseball podcast? I can name names.
Well, yeah, no, I guess, and then Mike Schmidt is another one that we've
What
kind of
about
forgotten,
Ozzie
right?
Smith?
Okay, so you buy Mike Schmidt. Nah, people know Ozzie. People
Because he
remember
did the flips.
Well, because he did, and he also did the Simpsons thing.
We're talking baseball.
Maine to San Diego. Wait, was Reggie Jackson in that? Who are the players in that?
Griffey,
Yeah, Ozzie is Steve Sachs,
Jose Canseco.
Saxy boy.
Daryl Strawberry.
Yeah,
Daryl
of course, Daryl.
I must kill the
Let's
queen.
kill the queen. He's great at acting like
Great
a robot.
performance.
Also, I
by
can't
Reggie.
believe that this is like, a year out of retirement for him.
He's,
I can
he's
almost, like-
yoked. He's yoked,
Yeah,
man. Look
yeah.
at him.
I can almost hear the audience, like the movie audience, cheer, and when they like
Yeah.
reveal his face.
Oh man, he is. Look at those fucking arms, just absolutely ready to clobber.
Yeah, he doesn't need a gun. You should just rip
Yeah,
the queen's
exactly.
head clean
my
off.
God.
Exactly.
Baseball player upper arms are like very, very strong.
The makers of the movie said that it was his idea to walk like a robot, that they just wanted him to walk regular, and they were like, sure.
They're like, walk like you're leaving the clubhouse. He's like, got it.
Got it.
Say no more.
Yeah, so I didn't read a lot of the trivia, but like one of the first trivia facts is like the fact that Reggie Jackson did actually coach a baseball game that the actual Queen did go to, which was super
years
funny.
later,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
like
yeah.
years later, yeah, when he was coaching for the A's, the Oakland A's.
And he was like, I tried to assassinate you in this movie once.
Yeah, like I think they put it on the jumbotron or something. Like,
Amazing.
dummy just gets thrown. Sorry.
Yeah, some of the background action in this heavily choreographed baseball brawl, which is basically just a pile of guys punching each other, is pretty funny.
He's biting that guy's foot.
There is a cut thing. I can't remember. I think it's on the deleted scenes, but I didn't have the DVD where they puncture his umpire padding and it deflates.
Oh, yeah.
That's why like later in the movie it's deflated, but it got cut and we don't ever see it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was wondering what happened there.
Reggie. Reggie's performance is so good though. It's underappreciated.
They knew they could get a great performance out of him after working with Kareem.
Yep.
Airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kareem's really good in Airplane.
He saved the queen's life.
Oh, man.
It's Enrico Palazzo. I love this part.
It's Enrico Palazzo.
Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo. That guy is great.
Yeah. Enrico Palazzo. Enrico Palazzo.
Shaking his head no. Oh my god.
Kareem and Reggie Jackson are both still alive. We still could yet see a movie with both of them in it.
That's clearly not Carl Montalban.
The wig is so obvious.
He had a mustache, you could see.
Yeah.
All right, we're
I
coming
wonder-
to the end of this movie here.
I wonder what Reggie Jackson's doing right now.
All
Like
great
counting his
movies
money.
like this should be 85 minutes. Just zip through. No
Yeah.
time for bad jokes.
Two could play at this game.
Yeah, even this ending, which like at this point the movie should be like petering out, and yet they still find some really good gags after this. Like
the
this,
marching band.
Yeah, my father went the same way. It's just like there are still so many great gags that they have, in this last couple of seconds of the movie. You killed him. No, he'll be fine. He's just stunned.
Oh yeah, the deflated chest pad.
Yeah.
A lot of good falls in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, he could survive. Cameo from the USC marching band.
Oh, yeah.
Fight on.
Yep.
Except the audio is not from them. It's a different.
One thing that always bugged me is that no one actually steps on him here.
I know, right?
This
They
guy,
couldn't have like
They
lined it
got
up.
it perfectly aligned so that no one.
Yeah, I
touches
think
him.
once they get to the bass drum, I think bass drum is gonna step on him, but we don't get to see it. But the leader guy steps on him.
They didn't want to get man on their shoes. It's so horrible.
I know, Ed.
My father went the same way.
See, they got stepped on. Oh no.
The twist.
Yeah, that's another thing. They got one more good twist in there.
The speech he gives her and like how everyone cries and hugs each other at the end.
Yeah.
And then they show like
Love it.
the Jews and the what is it like
The Jews and the Palestinians
And the
are hugging each other.
Palestinians,
Yeah.
I love
What are some of the other ones they do like that are like the opposites? That
I forget.
Yeah.
I love like the romanticism of like their relationship because like it doesn't actually exist. It's all just for the jokes, but like they go through such an effort for him to have like these big speeches and for them to have like little moments, like as we go forward in the films and like seeing them before. It's like super funny.
How do you guys? Any of you guys have that Mickey Mouse shirt that kid was just wearing, like the ringer?
Oh, I missed it.
The ringer tee Mickey Mouse
The
shirt.
classic one, yeah.
Yeah, it's
probably.
like I think they show him again. It's like a heather blue with rings around the collar and sleeves. It was a very iconic. Like if you ever went to Disney World in the 80s or 90s, that was the shirt that they just sold at all the gift shops that everyone ended up with. We had at least one in our house.
What is Mickey Mouse? Is that it's a mouse of some kind?
Yeah, it's this mouse that everyone in the world knows about.
Oh,
Yeah.
but not me.
No, somehow not you.
Is
How can I explain it to you? He's
This bit is stupid.
He's the leader. He's the leader of the pack.
you guys didn't commit to it. Like if you guys committed to like trying to explain Mickey Mouse to me, it could be very funny. But
I don't know.
Whatever.
I mean, we could keep trying, but
No.
I feel like it's not.
You,
Really.
you failed on purpose.
The Uzi,
Yeah.
the weapon of choice for every bad guy in the 80s.
It really had its time.
Yeah,
It really
had
did.
a
Yeah.
moment.
I kind of miss it when I see it pop up like
Yeah.
in modern stuff. I'm always like, yeah.
Like, whatever happened to Uzis? Why can't I have an Uzi?
It's got the best gun sound, I think. It's like that really fast.
You need to shoot a lot of bullets
Mhm.
and also be able to put something in a small handbag.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I knew there was a dog.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
the
the
dog
dog
in
in the
the
mailman. I'm sorry I yelled at you yesterday. I really am.
All right, should we start summarizing our thoughts?
Yeah,
We're
this
at the
thing's
end
pretty
here.
much over. No wacky credits.
There's some wacky credits.
Yeah.
Not as many. Later on, they add more, I think.
Yeah, like Airplane is like half the credits are fake credits.
There's one more Nordberg getting fucking killed again.
Yeah, we got
Kind
one
of
more.
a tragedy that you don't get like a blooper reel at the end of all these movies.
Apparently, they had a thing where they had everyone singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," but it was just so fucking bad that everyone was like, "Yeah, let's just stick."
Let's
with
just end it on Nordberg.
Yeah,
The best part about this Nordberg thing is they rigged up something in the wheelchair to like shoot the dummy way
Yeah.
up in the air, and you can see the smoke coming out.
Also, they take good advantage of Dodger Stadium's like vertigo-inducing precipitous decline directly to the field, where anytime you're up in the stands, it just seems like you're hanging over the field.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, I like it. Should I go first?
Sure.
This movie's great, and I love it, and it's very funny, and it holds up surprisingly well. That was what I really took away from this. I probably haven't seen it in, I don't know, 5-10 years, something like that. I think when I was younger, I probably watched the second one more, But it's close. I watched the first two a lot more than the third one, which I didn't watch that much at all.
Oh, really?
But yeah.
I think 1 and 3 are better than 2.
Yeah, the 2 is the one I'm least familiar with.
I agree.
I watched
Really?
3.
Oh,
3
man.
was on HBO all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah, no,
like-
2 was my jam.
We should talk about this later, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it now. The baseball game finale and the Oscars finale, like really having that big thing in the third act is like makes it like a better Naked Gun movie. I feel like
is there a big thing in the second movie? I forget.
I feel like there's not. I feel like it's just kind of like there's like a showdown. It's in a ballroom or something like that, I think.
I can't really remember. I just know that I love Robert Goulet as a villain. I love the swimming in raw sewage. I like the fact that we involve Nordberg more. I mean, I'm not gonna argue that I think the second one is the best one, but it's definitely one of the ones that I watched a lot more. And I haven't seen this first one in a while, and I loved it. And like I said, just aged surprisingly well. I don't think it's nearly as objectionable as a movie like this probably should be. So I'm going to give it a very, very happy 8 Timothy Dolphins.
Nice.
For this kind of comedy, you're not going to get that much better.
Yeah, I'll go next. I think this is one of the funnier movies of all time. It's like for what it sets out to do, it accomplishes it in spades. And I think this is a lost art. I don't think they can make these movies anymore. I heard they're doing a remake of this. Seth MacFarlane is like producing it, and I think one of the Lonely Island guys is directing it, and it's going to star Liam Neeson. I mean, they've been talking about making this movie for years. I feel like it's getting closer to actually happening, but we'll see. But I mean, I can't imagine that they're gonna capture the magic that this movie and others of its kind of this time period, the late '80s, early '90s when they were cranking these out. I don't think it could be replicated. I mean, I'll see. I'll keep my fingers crossed. You know, like maybe I hope they can. I really hope that it comes. I hope that the spoof movie, can have a comeback. But I don't know. I have my doubts. Having said all that, I think this is a pretty close to a perfect comedy, a perfect spoof movie. I love it, and I think it goes in the upper echelon for me. And I'm going to give this a 10.
Wow, 10.
I think we should take a second and talk about this, new sequel, because I do think that there is something. I'm not the biggest Seth MacFarlane fan, and I think Family Guy comedy, while it's funny sometimes, is kind of inherently lazier than comedy that comes from, more from character and plot, and it's just sort of like random shit that they just throw in there. But I will say that does, to me, seem like the kind of fit that could work with this kind of movie. You know what I mean? He is a gag a minute kind of guy, and it is.
And these are kind of non sequitur jokes.
Yeah, there's a similarity there that I feel like isn't way off base. I don't know if it'll be good or not, but I do think if you're gonna try to make another Naked Gun, Seth MacFarlane's probably not a bad guy to be. Running the show.
I'll agree with you there. Like, who else? In today's culture, like who else has the chops?
Like maybe like Dan Harmon or somebody like that.
Farrelly Brothers comeback.
Right. Yes. Yeah. No. I mean, that's true. It's a short list though, and I think MacFarlane is on it. Even though he'd probably not be my favorite of the bunch, I think that I hold out hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I kind of want to see? A spoof movie. It's unfortunate though, because there's not a really big property of this kind of genre that like you could spoof specifically, but I'd like to see a spoof of like the steampunk genre. I think that could be funny. But I guess it looks based on the reactions in the room,
like
I feel like I've gone way off topic.
Is there a cricket sound effect there? Matt?
Well, I think what you're getting at, and correct me if I'm wrong.
We do need a cricket sound effect for when Colin.
Oh yeah.
says stuff.
I think I have crickets. Actually.
I don't think we need that per se. I'm not sure if that's a need. Okay. There it is.
Seems like it happens a lot. Yeah, keep that one handy.
Sorry.
Is this the sponsored by COVID portion of the
it's my
podcast?
fucking seasonal allergy.
Luckily, I've had COVID for like a month and just recently got over it, so I think I'm immune now. Hopefully,
I think what you're talking about, Colin, is like a Mad Max, like a post apocalyptic world that has steampunk
that's a little
elements.
different, but yes.
We talked before about how the movie, if we were going to spoof something, it would be like Christopher Nolan movies are kind of rife for spoofing, and that they have a lot of like notable like cliches that are in them.
Yeah, I mean the obvious thing is superhero movies too, and they tried that, and I didn't even see that one, but I heard it was terrible.
Here's the thing: this is not really a spoof. This is a silly movie. It's riffing on themes and on genre broadly, but it's not specific. It's a different world completely from some of the ones you mentioned earlier. It's not a scary movie, stand-in. It doesn't set the pace for those kinds of movies. It's not like calling out or referencing specific things. It's playing with the cop archetype, but it's just a silly, broad, slapstick movie that's kind of its own thing in that way. Playing in that genre and just being really goofy and silly, like imagining it through the eyes of a 12-year-old, who loves fart jokes and tits and people falling down and getting hurt a lot. and that type of humor, I think, is what's gone, because you get a lot now of the referential stuff, the parodic stuff, and things that have the baked in, oh, I know that joke, I know what's coming next. And this is really that gag a minute. Like, this is a Mel Brooks type thing, and there's no, how many Mel Brookses are there? He's, he should remake this movie if they're going to remake this movie. But
he would have been good. He was still making hits at this time.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, that's why I was kind of thinking of broad genres that could be.
Yeah, you're onto something.
Like steampunk,
with
the
that.
broadest of broad genres.
It's broad. It's pretty broad. All it is like a goggles and a silly hat or something.
Name 3 steampunk movies.
Look, all you need for steampunk is some kind of airship that looks kind of like a blimp and kind of like a boat, and a pair of goggles and a silly hat, and you're there.
Sky Captain.
Yeah, and maybe a long
Wild
coat.
Wild West.
Yeah.
And that one that came out about flying
Mortal
cities.
Engines?
Mortal Engines.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't think we could do it, but we did it. Welcome to top 3 steampunk movies.
All
right.
films we talk about regularly at dinner parties.
Yes,
right there in the zeitgeist.
As ubiquitous as Reggie Jackson.
How dare you?
One of you guys go talk about your rating.
Jonathan, I want to hear from Jonathan.
I'm with you, Matt. This movie has been, if you were to ask me my 10 favorite comedies, it's probably been on that list for 25 years at this stage of my life, and is probably entrenched. I don't even watch new comedies, much less embrace new comedies. So the idea that
comedies? There's nothing.
That's my thing, is the idea of something, supplanting this is hard to imagine. I know this movie inside and out, and I hadn't watched it for a minute before tonight or today. And it just hits the buttons, man. It's, I think, a special, unique, hilarious thing, and I hold it in my heart, and it's a 10 for me.
Oh, shit.
It was epic.
Right. Yeah, there's not much I can say that hasn't been said already. I'm going to give this movie a score. What else could I say about it? Do you guys want to hear me?
You could say the score.
I'm going to give it 9 Timothy Dolphins. An incredible film. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
I think we're off to a good start. And I feel like, I haven't seen the other two in a while, but I feel like we're going to stay in the same area.
You know what I would like? To meet an actual police officer and be like, what inspired you to become a cop? And they say the Naked Gun.
2 words, Frank Drebin.
He just starts going, ba-ba-na, ba-na, ba-na. He starts singing the song.
I actually tried to drive my cop car into a building. Because I thought it'd be funny.
I just love shooting people.
Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be on Police Squad.
Jonathan, thanks again for coming out.
You know what? I'm always down to chop it up with y'all. Can't wait to get my jacket.
Yeah, we're going to do Terminator one of these days. We'll have you as the guest.
It's frankly a shame that
for
it
every
hasn't
one of them.
happened yet.
You know what's holding us back is the 4 stinkers at the end of that series.
Watch them in one. Make it a one-night pod.
It's insane that we haven't done Terminator. It's insane that we haven't done Die Hard. But the same reason that we haven't done both of them is that there's like they're very front loaded with incredibleness and very back loaded with shiteness.
Like we're kind of finding the sweet spot of movie series is like 3 to 5 movies, and like anything more or less is like,
especially when there's like bad ones.
Yeah.
When are you doing the Fast franchise?
Soon.
I haven't seen almost any of those. That's another one that I'm going to end up picking that like Harry Potter so we can have fun and I can watch something new.
I have seen 0 Fast films.
Yeah. Really?
It'll be a disaster.
They're going to definitely have you on, force you to watch them.
Terrible.
Yeah, for us to do that, that's like a 6, 7, 8 month commitment. Something.
But
like
let's not let's not have him on for an early one if he's never seen any of them. Let's just drop him in, drop him into a late, drop him into a late one and just be like, here you go, figure it out.
Word on the street is that 5 is the best one.
This movie feels
Is that
like
the one where they
it's
drag the
about
safe
family.
Yeah, something about cars and family.
I like
cars.
5.
I never saw 5.
Oh, really?
I've only seen 1,
That's like
7, and 8.
5 is Brazil, right? It's not Rio. It's like some Brazilian city.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I saw the first 3, and then I just watched parts of some of the other ones and was like, oh, they're like superheroes now. They can defy gravity and
7's really. I mean,
They do
it's
normal
pretty good.
stuff. That's just if you start like driving your car really fast, you'll be able to do most of the stuff that they do.
It's a weird thing because like we did the James Bond movies, and obviously their whole thing is like they do the stunts for real. And then you watch the Fast and Furious, and their whole thing is like their stunts are impossible in a real physical world.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's is impressive about? You know, it's like
Marvel superheroes, but they don't have any superpowers. And, it's just
they can do
random,
anything, and
crazy,
there's no repercussions.
And if they do die for some reason, they just bring them
come
back
back.
2 movies later.
Yeah.
But like the first movie wasn't like that. The first movie was like
street racing.
pretty grounded street racing cop movie. It was Point Break.
It's
with
Point
street
Break,
races.
literally. Yeah, Point Break.
Yeah. very
Also,
scary.
Tokyo Drift is like completely its own story.
Yeah,
It has nothing. to
I
do
was
with
aware
it.
of that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for reminding me why I chose to never watch these movies.
Yep. They're great. They're pretty great.
But you know, like a lot of these, from a franchise aspect, it's interesting to see the choices, especially that franchise, like the choices that they made, and why. And
That's why I would be interested to watch it, just because I like when like Mission Impossible, when they start off as something,
And then,
Magic Mike too, like start off as one thing and then somehow turn into something else. It's always kind of entertaining to me.
yeah,
Can't believe they gave him magic powers in the 3rd movie.
it's his namesake. Jonathan,
I've
what,
just been
what,
stripping so long, I thought the magic was gone.
what's
and
going
then
on
I
in your life,
realized
man?
it
What's
was
magic?
magic.
He always had magic powers.
You always had magic
Powers of
mate.
pony.
Man, you know, just doing my thing, raising my kids, and working, producing some stuff.
Or who are you working for now? Are you working for
I am-
Alex McDowell still?
I am not currently working with Alex McDowell. I
Only a
finished
fool
up,
would do that.
Shut up, Matt.
I enjoyed very much my time at Alex's firm
at the
and,
World Building
at
Lab?
the World. I was at
What were
Experimental
you
Design.
at? Experimental design.
And finished up my gig there. Had a nice, wonderful run. Moved on to another place. I'm working at a startup in the renewable.
I thought you said I'm
energy
working at
field.
a Starbucks.
Hawking those grandes, baby.
I'm
You want your name
Get it
misspelled?
right?
Come on in. Shout out to the first responders, essential workers. Working at a startup, senior media producer at a renewable energy company, and I am producing freelance stuff on the side, and I'm writing a lot these days. So if any of you filmmakers listening want a script for a high concept, very unproducible short film, or a low concept, very producible feature, come holler at your boy.
Nice.
You can have some coffee
I
and
love it.
talk.
At the Starbucks that you work
At the Starbucks, where they all know me, but it's not
where everybody
like that.
knows your name.
Keeps pronouncing startup wrong.
I was just talking to my friend about this. Do any of you
You
know?
guys seem pretty established for a startup.
do any of you know anyone who calls it Starbies?
No. Starbucks. We have the coffee.
You know why we don't know anyone who calls it Starbies? Why? Because nobody anywhere calls it Starbies. Are you calling it Starbies?
I was telling
Are you
my
trying
friend,
to make Starbies happen?
I was telling my friend when I heard someone call it Starbies, I was like, I feel like if you call it Starbies, you have to say it like this. Oh my God, Starbies.
Hit the crickets.
On that note.
Hit the crickets.
No. Don't crickets me anymore. It hurts my feelings.
So yeah, thanks Jonathan for doing this.
And thanks Colin for ending us on with a bang.
Thanks to Chris Morocco for banging out this Naked Gun beat that we're listening to right now.
Slaps.
It slaps. Yeah, and shout out to Tim for our new theme song.
Yep.
And what else is going on?
Shout out to Leslie Nielsen.
Shout out to Leslie. R.I.P. man.
Yeah.
Everyone's dead. Ricardo Montalban's dead.
Reggie Jackson's still alive.
But O.J. Simpson's still kicking, everybody.
Why'd you pick him?
He's still out there.
Yeah.
He's still out there, so look out, everyone. Just watch your back when you're walking home.
Hide your wife. Hide your kids.
But especially your wife.
They're cutting heads off out here.
Hide your wife's boyfriend. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll be back for Naked Gun 2.5. The Smell of Fear? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
You could smell it from the All right, bye, y'all.